Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and in-depth analysis from around the world. As we dive into today's top stories, we're focusing on the ongoing situation in Gaza and the efforts to establish a lasting peace in the region. Recent reports suggest that a ceasefire agreement has been reached, but many are questioning its sustainability. The deal was negotiated without Palestinian input, and its success relies heavily on the United States imposing pressure on Israel. Experts warn that this approach may not be effective given Washington's track record on the issue. Some argue that a policy of benevolent normality would be more beneficial for both America and Israel in the long run. This policy would involve a more balanced approach, taking into account the needs and concerns of all parties involved. Meanwhile, the search for Gaza peacekeepers continues, with many countries hesitant to contribute due to concerns about being seen as collaborators with Israel. The presence of Hamas in the region adds another layer of complexity to the situation, making it challenging to determine whether a potential peacekeeping force would be effective. As we explore this story further, we'll examine the implications of the ceasefire agreement and the obstacles that lie ahead. We'll also look at the historical context, drawing parallels with other conflicts, such as the Iraq War, where similar strategies have failed to yield lasting results. The question on everyone's mind is, can Palestinians trust the guarantees made by the U.S., particularly under the leadership of President Donald Trump? Many are skeptical, given the administration's previous actions and statements on the issue. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we continue to explore the latest developments from around the world, we turn our attention to a significant escalation in U.S. military actions against Venezuela. According to recent statements by President Donald Trump, the United States has struck a big facility inside Venezuela, marking what could be the first known land strike in the U.S. counter-narcotics efforts against the South American country. Details of this apparent attack are still emerging, with President Trump discussing it during an interview with WABC Radio in New York. He mentioned that 2 nights prior to the interview, the U.S. had knocked out a major plant or facility from which ships carrying drugs allegedly originate. The White House has not provided further details or confirmation of the strike, leaving many questions about the nature and impact of this operation. This development follows months of increased U.S. military pressure on Venezuela, including numerous strikes on boats in international waters that the administration claims are involved in drug trafficking. While the White House asserts these actions are part of a broader campaign against narcotics operations, critics argue that the evidence supporting these claims is lacking, and such actions may represent an escalation of U.S. involvement in the region. The situation in Venezuela has been complex and volatile for years, with the country facing significant economic challenges, political instability, and humanitarian crises. The U.S. has been among the nations imposing sanctions on Venezuela and has been vocal about its opposition to the government of President Nicolás Maduro, citing concerns over democracy, human rights, and drug trafficking. As we consider these events, it's essential to approach the information with a critical eye, recognizing the multifaceted nature of international relations and the potential implications of military actions. The impact on the people of Venezuela, regional stability, and global geopolitical dynamics will be important to watch in the coming days and weeks. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we close out today's show, let's take a look at a significant development in European politics. Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti has secured an emphatic election victory, marking a resurgence for the nationalist leader and ending a prolonged political deadlock in Europe's youngest state. With nearly all votes counted, Kurti's Vete Endoge party led with more than 49% of Sunday's vote, meaning he only requires some small coalition partners to form a majority. This win strengthens Kurti's mandate to push through domestic reforms, including welfare expansion and higher salaries for public workers. However, he faces significant challenges, including tensions with Serbia and underdeveloped health and education systems. The election outcome has been welcomed by the European Union, which applauded Kosovo's strong commitment to democratic principles and announced plans to release further funding for the country early next year. The EU has also urged Kosovo to normalize relations with Serbia, a key condition for either country to join the EU. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia in 2008, but tensions between the two nations remain high. The EU had previously imposed sanctions on Kosovo due to Kurti's policies towards the Serb minority in northern Kosovo. However, the EU announced it would lift these sanctions and release funds for Kosovo just as election campaigning began. As we consider the implications of this election result, it's essential to acknowledge the complexities of the situation and the diverse perspectives involved. While some see Kurti's victory as a positive step towards stability and growth, others may have concerns about the potential consequences for regional relations and the treatment of minority groups. That's all for today's Barber's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.